want to ask one of my questions now.
Yeah.
So, for feminists, the area of everything from porn to stripping to prostitution is often sort of lumped into one category or sort of perceived in the same way as sort of one big problem. And I'm really interested that you have very different views on each individual topic.
Yes.
So you have a very different view on stripping from what you do on porn, from what you do on sex work, from what you do. And I found that really interesting and really specific, and I just wondered if you could talk about how you see all of those things and why you see them so distinctly and separately.
Well, you're so right that the big problem is that like they do all get lumped together. That's again because we're not used to talking about women, and also we freak out about female sexuality, and that is rooted in again history. Like kind of up until we invented contraception and antibiotics, for a woman to have sexual desire and be sexually active meant that she was A, at risk of disease, and B, risk of pregnancy. And those are things you genuinely wanted to avoid because you had a 1 in 4 chance of dying in childbirth. And diseases were completely incurable. So it was in a woman's interest to not be sexual. Kind of a chaste woman would be a safe woman. She had a better chance of living. And from a male point of view, you would want a chaste woman because you wouldn't want to catch a disease from her. These are the simple, awful facts of history. Obviously everything's changed now. Women can have sex without getting pregnant. We can cure these diseases. So if we look at all these things now, something like sex work. If we invented sex work now, we would not have the attitudes to it that we have, because ours are rooted in a time of fear and disease, and a time when a sexual woman was seen as a bad woman. You were either a whore or a virgin. Right. My view, and I'm still flexible on this. I'm still learning about it, but my view on sex work is that we all these intimate things that we are happy to exchange money for. We will pay people to look after our dying people. We'll pay people to look after our newborn babies. You can pay someone to bleach your bumhole from brown to pink if you so desire. We are unashamed of all of these things, and yet this one thing, sex work, we sort of go, no, that has to be completely special. We just need to make those women safe now.
Yeah.
We can talk later and untangle this huge thing of centuries of us being screwed up about sex. But as things are at the moment, we leave women who do sex work to be in dangerous places. We put them on the edges of towns like sacrificial victims that are left on the edges of town. They're the bad girls that are allowed to be killed. So we need to make sure those women are safe. That's the first thing we do. We make sure that they can work in brothels, that they are known to the police. So if they have any problem, they can go to the police. If they've been trafficked, they can say, I've been brought into this country illegally. I'm telling you now, I need to be helped. And later on we can talk about what sex is, but right now we can't let another girl be murdered, be raped, be attacked, be scared, feel that she can't go to the authorities because what she's doing is stigmatized and not legal.
But you feel very differently about porn, and you feel differently about stripping, and how do you see those as different?
Well, with pornography, I mean, there's a big thing that kind of porn is bad for women, and if you look, if you're a feminist, you shouldn't be into pornography, right. But pornography of itself is just watching some people have sex.
Yeah.
And we see that in classical paintings, we see it on the side of vases, we see it in scrolls from 3,000 years ago. If you walk down the street and someone's forgotten to draw their curtains, you can see it through someone's window. Yeah. And I can tell you the people at number 87, they have got it going on right now. And that's not damaging to me to see that. That's not damaging to a woman or a feminist to see some people having, some consensual sex.
Yeah.
What we're talking about in pornography is the pornography industry and the ideas and aesthetic that it has.
Right.
If all you're seeing in it, there's a kind of monoculture of pornography at the moment. Like 90% of the sex that you will see in pornography on the internet will be a man will come in, a woman will be sitting there, he'll go jigga 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 on her tits for 30 seconds, and then jigga 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 the tits, then he'll probably go like 3 times in the general vagina area. And you're feeling like kind of, if you found my clitoris, if it's there, I'll give you the money myself. You are 3.5 inches out. There's no pleasure going on there. That's not even happening. Then he'll get on top of her and do her on top. Then he'll turn her over and do her from behind. Then he'll do some anal sex, and then he'll spaff on her face. And job's done in like 4.5 minutes, which is the average time of a wank, a male wank.
Right.
And you're like, well, if that's all I'm seeing, and that's where children are getting their sex education, that's not sex.
Yeah.
That's pornography, and one very specific vision of what sex should be.
Yeah.
One very specific that doesn't address the multitudes of all the different things that we want to do. And the key thing is that if I'm watching some pornography, that's just some sex. There's no great scripts. We're not going to see some incredible CGI. There's no amazing monologues. It's just some sex.
Yeah.
And that's 2 people having sex, and if one of them palpably isn't enjoying it, then that's not great sex. We've screwed up sex at that point.
Yeah.
I don't see women having pleasure. I sit there looking for women. I've got a little list of times when I've seen women having a good time. It's a very small list. They're all saved on a special folder.
Yeah.
What you see instead, because you want to see an emotional response from a woman, is pain instead.
Yeah.
Slapping. I don't know when slapping became a huge part of sex.
Yeah.
But if I was a 13-year-old now, I would absolutely presume that in some way the sexual mechanics of either lubrication or erection involved at some point having to slap someone repeatedly on the arse.
Yeah.
Though, I come from an older age. Before we invented bum slapping, that just wasn't a thing. We all managed to have sex without repeatedly slapping each other. This is a fashion for sex, a fashion in pornography.
Yeah.
So, I love people like Cindy Gallop, who does Make Love Not Porn, where you've just seen consensual couples having sex. It's pornography.
Yeah.
But it's pornography that's about pleasure and about two people having sex rather than a man coming and have sex on top of a woman.
Right.
Which is what we see time and time again.
Yeah.
I don't see any women's ideas in that. She's not going, hang on, I've got a good idea. We could do it like this.
Yeah.
She's just lying there having sex on top of her. And that's not what sex is.
Yeah.
I'm 41 years old. I've had sex 4 or 5 times now. And I can tell you, generally not about that.
4 or 5.
I know.
Wow.
I can tell you about it later.
Big news.
Yeah, I'm a big pumper.